Okay, I have the 04 to 08 digital climate controls. Basically, I can set the temperature. It's got the heated leather seats and it's got the dual zone and so on. But anyway, a lot of the bulbs here are burnt out, and I need to figure out if they can be replaced. Typically, General Motors uses their 50 milliamp 12 volt bulbs in pretty much everything that they use, and they'll put a sleeve over them to get the color that they want. For example, the color obviously for this blue is going to be different than for the red. So what I need to figure out is how to get the bulbs changed out. But I'm not going to just change them out with the regular incandescent bulbs. I'm going to change them all out with LEDs. LEDs are brighter and they last longer. So what I have to do first is actually get this HVAC out, take it apart, see if it's possible, and then go from there. So the first thing, and this applies to if you need to get your radio out or if you need to get that compartment out there, the first thing you need to do is you need to get off this trim piece here. This is a one-piece trim, and it's actually really easy to get out, and I'm surprised that they don't make it more difficult to get out, because once you've got this trim piece off, you can easily get to either of these. This is a $250 dealer unit. This radio is also really expensive. I don't know what it is. And you got your information center there. I mean, there's so many parts here that somebody could just quickly take from your car. So I'm actually surprised they don't make it a little more difficult, but let's go ahead and get started here. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is remove this trim piece. Now, it will pop out on its own if you happen to already have the outer trim piece out, but it's actually really easy to get to. Just take a small flat blade screwdriver, be real gentle, just kind of wedge it in underneath and then move around like that, and it should just pop right off. See how easy that is? This comes right off. Just be gentle about it, and you should be able to get it off. Now, there's no way to put this on wrong. It'll only slide in one way because of the grooves that are on it. They only line up with one direction. So now that that's off, we can go ahead and start pulling the trim. Now, optionally, you can put your car into as far back as it'll go, either 3 or excuse me, it's 1 or manual. It will give you a little bit more room to pull this trim piece off, so that is an option. But the next thing you want to do is you just take the trim piece, and usually I start at this corner down here because you can get in underneath here and pull, but basically just gently just pull out, and you can see there half the unit just came right off. It's so easy to get this off. I'm just surprised that they don't make it more difficult. So just wedge your fingers between the trim, nice and easy. Don't break it or anything. Just wedge it in there, and looks like you got one more in the corner here. There we go. Alright, the trim piece is loose, but there's a wiring harness that you have to deal with. Particularly, there's a wire harness behind the driver information center, and it's if you want to be able to get this whole thing out of here without damaging it, you may want to consider actually putting the car into drive. In my case, I'm just going to be moving it to the side, just like that, and should be able to set it just like that. So I'm just moving mine to the side because all I care about is actually getting to these this HVAC control here, and that's pretty much what I need to get to. It's pretty simple. There's Phillips screws on each side. They kind of intertwine them, so you have to take pretty much, in order for me to get to the HVAC, you have to take the bottom and then this one off. In order to get to the radio up here, you have to take the bottom, the middle, and then the radio. If you just wanted to get to this compartment here, you just take the bottom off. So they lock them in place. They overlap them, basically. So you can't just take the radio out. You have to take all 3 of them out. So, but I'm only interested in the HVAC, so that basically means I have to take the bottom compartment out, then unscrew the HVAC and it should just slide, you know, right out. Okay, you can see here that I have disconnected both sides here along with the compartment so that this whole thing will just kind of come right out. You know, make sure that you don't lose these screws. Sometimes they stay in there, sometimes they come right out. The ones on the bottom came right out. The ones up here are actually staying in. But there's two plugs in the back here, as you can see here, for the digital controls. It's pretty small, actually, once you get this portion out. And there's just these this clip that's right here, this retentioner. Just lift up on it and pull the plug out. Same for this one. It's impossible to mess these two up. They're slightly different size, so you're not going to accidentally plug one into the other. So once you've got the plugs out, then we can take the HVAC in. I'll show you how easy it is to get this particular one out. You actually just push on this, and you can see here that it actually raises the retention. And you know, I could do this with one hand if I didn't want to damage it, but it's coming out slightly. But anyway, that's how you get that out. And for this one, it's basically the same thing, except I'm going to be using my finger and kind of push it out at the same time. So yeah, relatively easy. Okay, both plugs are out, and pretty easy to get out. This is the back of the unit. This thing right here is really expensive unless you can find one used on eBay. They are just, I don't get it. They're so expensive, and you know, it's up to you whether or not you want to replace the bulbs. I mean, if it doesn't bother you, sure, you know. But this kind of stuff bothers me, so what I'm going to do is get inside of this, which doesn't look too difficult to get inside, and see if I can replace the bulbs. And if I can, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to replace them with LEDs. So we'll see how well this actually turns out. Alright, as you can see, I've got the HVAC controls out. At this point, you want to stop and ask yourself if this is something that you actually want to do. This is a really expensive unit, and there's a possibility that you could mess something up and then it'll be dead, basically. So, if you are not confident in your solder abilities, your disassemble and reassemble abilities or whatever, either find somebody that you know who does, or just don't do it at all. Or you can plan on spending, you know, a couple $100 for one of these things. My goal is to replace all of these lamps with red LEDs, and at this point I'm not sure if these two are actually incandescent bulbs with just blue sleeves over them, or if it's a blue filter behind there. I'm not really sure yet, but that's why I'm going to take it apart and find out. Even if I'm not confident that I'm going to be able to do this, then I just won't. It's not worth throwing away a $300 part just because I want to fix some bulbs. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is take these two control dials off. Now, this could possibly wreck your day. If you break these off, okay, you're going to need to buy a whole new unit, alright? It's that simple. And these are actually easy to break, so you need to just literally take your time all day if it takes to get these two knobs off. And I'll show you how I am going to actually do this. The very first thing I'm going to do is get a flat blade screwdriver, and you can see right here, you can see there's a portion of this surrounding here that is a plain plastic. Right here you have a soft kind of a rubber finish that goes around here. So what you want to do is you want to get where the hard plastic is. Just take your screwdriver really carefully and just kind of, you know, wedge it up a little bit, okay? Not too much, just a little bit. Now, turn your controls to the top, same spot, wedge it up, okay? Turn your controls all the way to defrost, same spot, wedge it up. And you do this continuously. You go all the way back to start, and you do this continuously, trying not to damage that LED that's right there. And you just repeat, and you just lift up a little bit more each and every time. If you were to take this and try to yank it off, most likely you're either going to damage the switch that's underneath or you're going to break this off. So you just really gently apply force, and the goal is to basically do it in equal parts all the way around, and eventually this thing will pop off. Okay, as you can see here, I got the switch off, or the dial, and what you can see here is they actually used, in order to illuminate this indicator, they used a red plastic to do this, which means the bulb underneath is most likely going to be just a standard incandescent without a sleeve over it. I can't see right now, but once I get this other knob off, I'll be able to pull this whole thing apart. So same for the other knob, same identical spot. Just really take your time, you know, moving it in different directions. Really take your time on this, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is break this off. Okay, you see I got both of them off here. It is, when you're putting this back together, it is impossible to get it wrong, okay? Because they've got a notch here that lines up with that notch. So it's not like you can put it, you know, like that and then, you know, not realize your mistake until it's too late. So fortunately, they are pretty much idiot proof. If by chance you have one of these that is already broke, let's say the inside of this is broke off, if you can find a junkyard, they may be able to get you just one of these, and then you can just slide it right on. So now we need to turn our attention to the underside so that we can get the back off. On the back side, you can see there are these unusual 4.5 millimeter screws that are here, and fortunately I do have a 4.5 millimeter socket. It's just kind of unusual. I think I've only used this one other time for one thing, but it's obviously I actually don't have a small extension, which is why I have to do this, because the this is so fat. So that's the only reason that I'm not able to use the actual ratchet portion. But it doesn't matter because this isn't in there very long. It doesn't look like. See, it popped right out. So there's 4 of these all together. 1, 2, 3, 4 at every corner. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out right now. Okay, my only concern is actually this board right here. I'm not concerned with any of this, so I don't need to worry about damaging this ribbon, disconnecting it, and things like that. I'm only concerned with this side. So this, since I have the knobs off, this should actually just come right up and out. And there you go. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's pretty simple. I can see here that they actually probably use incandescent bulbs because they've already got it red on this side, and that's usually an indication that whatever lights this behind, doesn't matter what color it is. And it looks like the switches, okay, so the little LEDs right here, this is the indicator. This is like, let's see, what is this? Okay, this is the passenger, this is the rear defrost, the circulator, air conditioning, and then you have your heated leather seats on each side. And it looks like to me they actually illuminate, instead of illuminating, I don't know if these just pop right out. Okay, I see a little groove here on the right. I guess that's to prevent the bottom switches from coming out. But I'm going to go ahead and get these out anyway because I need to, whichever ones will come out. Okay, so it looks like to me these temperature sensors all come out individually because they need an individual light source, and then these here all share the same light source, which makes sense because none of these are burnt out here. just these two here, and the lights that are coming around here are burnout. These are burnout. So that actually does make sense, because these are all, you know, burn out, but these are not. So anyway, this is the circuit board itself, and right there I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 total incandescent bulbs, and then they use LED bulbs. It looks like here. There's an LED. There's an LED. Got LEDs here, up here. These LEDs light up to indicate that your air conditioning is on, your circulator is on, you know, whatever. And it looks like the LEDs right here represents low and high for heated seats. Low and high for heated seats. And this is the auto selection, so this will light up when you have it on auto for fan speed, auto for zone. So looks pretty simple, and what I need to do is actually get to these bulbs here and replace them with LEDs. Okay, so now that I've been able to determine what is positive and what is negative, what I did is actually figure out, first of all, how I was going to get this LED bulb in here, as well as this resistor. And if you look on the inside here, if you actually look, see this way, this is how it sets down in here. This right here, this portion right there, use a screwdriver. This portion right there is actually where the bulb is. It sits right down in there, and what it does is the light from this bulb heads into this direction, which lights this heated leather seat, as well as lights the temperature increase bulb, which is there. That's the temperature increase. So this one bulb, this one incandescent bulb, lights both of these, and then you have a blue one, which is right there, that will light the temperature decrease, which is right there. So you have 2 separate bulbs. So I actually have quite a bit of room here to work with. Now the other issue is that I don't want this thing to be too high, because then the light is going to have a hard time getting down into this area as well as this area. I want to keep it as low to the circuit board as possible, because this is a wide angle LED. So there's no point in me having the bulb way up here, because it's just going to shoot light up into this area, and with this being black plastic, it's probably going to end up absorbing some of that light. So if I keep it as low as possible, then it should impact both of these, you know, fairly well. And actually I can show you how this would actually go in. See there, just like that. So that's the temperature increase, and the bulb sits right there. The light comes into this point, lights the bulb, comes into this point and lights the bulb, and then this one is separated so that only blue light will actually hit that one. That's, you know, basically how that works. So I've got plenty of room to work with here. So what I actually did was I bent these 2 prongs here outward, okay? And that is so that I can fit this resistor in between here. And what I'm going to do is, so that the resistor doesn't block any of this light, what I'm basically going to do here is I'm going to have the resistor underneath the LED, and then I'm going to set the LED down as close to the board as possible, and then just bend this so that it's able to receive the electricity. It's going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but it should work. I mean, you know, we'll just have to see if I'm able to do it. The thing that I have to be cautious of is making sure that these 2 points here and the wiring, none of that touches any of these other points right here. So that's really important. I got to make sure that only these 2 points are utilized for this LED. Then I have to do this very same thing with all of the rest of the bulbs, and I still have to figure out how I'm going to do these right there, but we'll see what happens. Alright, you should be able to see how I have this set up for my camera. A little focus. Having a hard time with the camera, but anyway, you can see right there, that is actually where I have the solder point. The resistor is underneath the LED, which is fine, and I made sure that nothing crosses anything else. It took it took probably a good 15-20 minutes to actually get this completed because of all the micro routing that I had to do to make sure that it was going to be safe. And so what I have to do now is actually get this out to my car and make sure it lights up. If it does, then I can do the same thing for all the rest of them. Alright, moment of truth. If I did this right, then I should be seeing this bulb right here light up. Let's give it a shot. And there it is. Perfect. So, and it's pretty bright. So that's awesome. So the bulb works just fine. You know, I can't complain there. I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking in this area here just to make sure that that LED is clear of not only that resistor, but also anything else that might be in that area. But as you can see here, it works just fine. I mean, this is the great thing about LEDs, is that you can, I mean, yeah, some LEDs will burn you, but here I'm touching this LED and not even warm to the touch. They put out almost no heat. You got this little incandescent that burnt me before. That thing's super hot, but not even nearly as bright, as you can see there, as the red one. So I still can't figure out why General Motors and all the manufacturers don't put LEDs in everything, or literally everything. So, alright, well, now I have to do the same thing for all of these bulbs that are burned out, which it looks like I got one there, one up there, one in the middle. Not looking forward to it, but it has to be done. So, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of doing each and every one of these on camera, because you can see that's pretty much what I did there. It's pretty much the same all the way across. I just need to check polarity, make sure that everything's good, and I should be good to go. So, alright. Remember I made a comment about how hot these blue incandescent bulbs get? Well, I just pulled the sleeve off of this one over here, and look at that. It's burnt bad, but yet the bulb still works. That shows you just how hot these things get, and I'm actually surprised that they don't either burn out quicker or, you know, melt anything more of here. But that is, I don't like that at all. So I'm going to get this other one off, and I've got some blue LEDs that I'm going to be replacing these with. So that should definitely help out a lot. But geez, Pete, that's actually pretty surprising to me that they don't blow up sooner. Alright, so you can see here how I did this bulb right here. This is the blue incandescent bulb. Actually, it's an LED now, but this is a blue LED that actuates the temperature down. And as you can see there, it was a really tight squeeze, and what I did is I angled the bulb upward, because this right here is actually what takes in the light and brings it up so that it's going through this this blue arrow. And I had to make sure that it was going to clear, which it does. You can see here, this is where the button would actually go. Press down on the button, works just fine. No interference at all from anything, so it's nice and compact. The resistor doesn't touch the circuit board or this switch here, and neither does the LED. The LED comes up. I know it's hard to see, but the LED comes up and over the circuit board and meets up with the resistor. So this turned out pretty good. It was really tedious work trying to get that in there, but you know, this is what I want to do to get everything all up and running again, so definitely takes time. Alright, I finished the large LEDs. These two on the end here are blue LEDs. These two right there, that one there and this one here are blue LEDs. The rest of these are red. I took it out to my car and verified they all work. The housing goes on top with not being interfered in any way. And now I need to concentrate on these little itty bitty bulbs, and they really look like they're going to be a pain in the butt, but I think I'll be able to get them, because they have really large solder points, as you can see right there, really large solder points, and I think the bulbs just bend into this solder. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get those worked out, but there's a lot more room for those little ones because of all this space here, so I shouldn't have to worry too much about trying to to get them all squished into, you know, this perfect thing, because these here were really difficult to get exactly where I wanted them. So this is definitely a large project for. Alright, as you can see here, I removed all of those little bulbs, and they are actually this. You can see these are tiny. This is with the bulb still in the socket. This is without the socket. And I've got one of the bulbs right here. That's without a socket. Really tiny, tiny, tiny bulbs. Surprised they're able to put out any light. But anyway, determine what is positive and what is negative. Up is positive, down is negative. So it'll be easy for me to, I have a ton of room here, so it'll be easy for me to wire in the resistors, and should be able to get this thing squared away here by the end of the night. It's been a long time. I started working on this about 8 this morning. It's about 4:30 right now, and I've been working at it pretty much non-stop, so it's a lot of work, that's for sure, but it's gonna be worth it. Alright, I have finished redoing all the bulbs. Unfortunately, this bulb right here, I don't know why, but when I had an LED in that spot, none of these would light up. When I don't have an LED there, they light up just fine. That bulb was already burnt out. I'm not sure if there's some kind of a short or a defect or something in there. I honestly don't know. I tried to figure it out for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and apply 9 volts to this corner here, and you'll see all of them light up. They should all light up. See there? Now the two on the end are going to light up because they're on a different circuit, but these light up just fine, so you can tell that the connection is good. So this is ready to go. All I need to do is put it all back together, and I should be fine. It's unfortunate that I can't do anything about that one, but I still have 3 LEDs up here that are good, and you know, this one was already burnt out to begin with, so I'm not really losing anything here. But you know, it's just really odd that when there's a bulb there, I can't do anything about it. So, well, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get it back in my car, and tonight I'll get a night shot, and we'll see how well it looks. We are having a heat wave, as you can see there. It is very, very freaking hot. But anyway, got everything plugged in, and I'm testing it to make sure that I did everything right. If I did everything right, then as soon as I hit the interior lights, well, actually when you hit your fogs, that automatically come on. But anyway, I'll go ahead and turn them on, and I should see 2 blue lights and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red lights. We'll see. And there it is. 7 red lights. Anyway, okay, so I got the 2 blue lights. There's the heated leather seats and up arrow for temperature. Blue light for down, colder. Up arrow for hotter, and heated leather seat. The 3 that light up the dials right here are up and running. And then the 2 down here that actually light up the other switches, such as air conditioning, recirculator, rear defrogger, rear defogger. They are all working. So everything in this is working now. I'm just really disappointed about that one right there. I don't understand why, when there's a bulb there, it causes all the rest of these to not work at all. There must be some kind of short there. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to try to do too much with it and then ruin this. I basically have mission accomplished here. All of them have been replaced with LEDs. They're going to last a long time. I'm going to double check to make sure that all the pathways are good. I don't want anything to short out in here, you know, whatever, get too hot. So yeah, I'm basically going to just go ahead and get this inside, get the case back on, and I'll be good to go. Next time I'll get a night shot. So yeah, cool. And wow, 100 degrees. It is lovely. Perfect time for air conditioning. So if you notice here, this up arrow is actually wore out pretty well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a marker, a black Sharpie, and try to replace as much of this as possible. I'm not really too worried about it looking like new, simply because I don't have the material to do that with, okay? So it's either get a new switch, or a new button that is, or just deal with it. And I'm just going to use a Sharpie and just kind of improve it a little bit. It won't be much, but I'll just improve. Alright, so you can see here my attempt at fixing this. I actually didn't do too bad of a job. I didn't expect it to be perfect. I mean, I wasn't going to sit here with you know, masking tape or anything else like that and get it, you know, perfectly triangled, but you can see here there's a little bit of a difference. But really, nobody's going to notice. It was a lot worse than before, so, or it was a lot worse before, that is. So, alright, now I can start putting the rest of this together. Now is a good time to clean anything out, vacuum all this stuff out, maybe clean this screen off here. You know, don't use any harsh chemicals, just kind of wipe it off, but make sure that, you know, you don't leave any smudges or anything else like that. Just, you know, just clean everything up, get it nice and good, and then you know, this kind of stuff here, you know, this can be cleaned. Now's the perfect time to get all the dust off of it and, you know, clean this up. And there's no wiring on this or anything, so, you know, you could take a wet rag if you wanted to. I'm probably going to run some Armor All over it, because I just need to make sure I don't touch any of this clear plastic here, but other than that, that'll probably end up working pretty good. I'll go ahead and get it. Okay, got everything back together. I have not screwed it back in, but I wanted to show you that when it's all put back together, before you decide to just lock it all up, stick it in your car, and off you go, make sure that none of the buttons are hindered in any way. Push them all. Make sure there's nothing is in the way. That's the important part. You want to, because if you happen to have one of your resistors right underneath one of these and it catches or whatever, then you're not going to have use of that button. So I actually had to take about 20 minutes and move over a resistor, and I had to move it down slightly to clear this button, which I had it clear before, and I don't know why it got bumped over a little bit, but I had to work it so that it got around this button right here. And you'll know it because the button will either not push down all the way, or you'll push down and then it'll get stuck. So as you can see here, no problems. All the buttons are just fine. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get the screws back on, the 4 screws, get the knobs back on, and then get it out to my car, get everything reinstalled, and then I'll get you guys a night shot so you can see how good it looks. Okay, these knobs are universal. They're both identical. In fact, I believe these are the same knobs for the non-electronic climate control, so the other version of this, I believe, don't quote me on that, but I think they're the same. So anyway, you can see there's a little flat spot there, which coincides with the flat spot that's right there. So it's not possible to put this in wrong, but you still need to be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to apply any pressure in any other direction but down, because you could in fact snap the arm off. So you just kind of set it down and then kind of like that. There you go. Alright, so this one is in, and you can see that it's, you know, lined up just fine. So I'll go ahead and do the other one here. Alright, there we go. Works just fine. So this is perfect. We're all set. Yeah, got everything all back together. This was quite literally a 10-hour job to do this. Now, I'm not the best at soldering things. I'm not the best with electronics or anything else like that. I really took my time to make sure I wasn't going to mess this up. So just be aware that when you do decide to do a project like this, make it an all-day event, because there's a lot of stuff in here, and you know, you just want to make sure you don't mess it up. So next video will definitely be a night shot. Okay, it is nighttime, and I am excited to see the fruits of my labor. Go ahead and start the car. Wow. That is unbelievably bright. You can see there's a slight dim spot there. That's because of that one bulb being burnt out. Nothing I can do about it. But wow, this thing is super bright. It is crazy just how bright this thing is. You can see how blue that indicator is, and here's the other one. Now, all these three here, this top portion here, and most of this portion here were all burnt out. So I'm glad that, I'm glad that it's all put back together now, and it all works just fine. Wow, this is crazy bright. It really is. The camera does not do it justice. So I have successfully, and I'm going to make sure everything works. Don't need that, but passenger. Yep. So everything works. Need a leather seat. Don't need it, but okay. So yeah, everything works great, and I'm really happy with the results here. You can see it is kind of disappointing that that one portion right there is not lit up that well, but like I said, there's nothing I can do about it. So if you have any questions, let me know. It took all day long to get this finished. I replaced all the LEDs. You know, obviously when you're working with electronics and so on like this, there's a possibility that you could damage something, short something, burn yourself, or even burn your car up. It's always possible, so make sure you get somebody knows what they're doing, and you know, just get help if you don't know what you're doing. But instead of paying all this money to buy a new one, you can just upgrade, and that's exactly what it did. You can see the difference in intensity. Here's the lights from the radio, and there's the lights from the HVAC. You can see the difference in intensity. Much deeper red, much brighter. So, alright guys, that about does it. So, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. But do this at your own risk, and I will not be responsible for any of your missteps. See you guys.